Today I'm going to teach you about how to use reflective practice to cultivate your vision. I'm Regina L. Henry, Chief Support Officer for Corporate Mothers. I empower and equip you to lead resiliently, both at work and at home, without guilt or shame. Today I want to talk about reflective practice and how that relates to vision. Last time I was with you, I talked a lot about the difference between dreaming and vision and how it's important to have a clear vision, a clear direction of where you want to go, where you want your life to end up. Not ultimately, I want to live on a mountaintop overlooking the sea, although that could be part of your vision, but who do you want to be is what I mean. Who is the person that you want people to look at and say, this is the type of person he is. This is the type of person she is. Sometimes we don't even consider that. We live in a very congested world. And by that, I mean we have many perspectives and opinions coming at us at all times, and many different models of how to live life and what is the right way to live. And it's important to use reflective practice to really determine what is most important to you. What is it that you value? And then align your vision accordingly. So part of what needs to happen in reflective practice is we first have to acknowledge that we live in a world where comparison is almost like a disease. And comparison can actually cause you to lose out on all the greatness, the brilliance, the genius that is you. By comparing ourselves or yourself to someone else, you're constantly using a standard of measurement that is not even meant for you. It's almost like when I live in the United States, so we use feet and inches to measure. However, when I do, and cups and that sort of thing, and ounces. So when I'm looking at a recipe sometimes when it gives me milliliter, I'm very unsure of how to convert that. But thankfully, on many of our measuring tools that we have here in the United States, we have both the cups and ounces as well as the milliliters and liters, so that the conversion is not so difficult to do. However, what if there wasn't that? What if I try to use a recipe, go to a recipe and estimate what I think a milliliter is based upon my understanding of cups and ounces? That's what it's like when you compare yourself to someone else and to their way of living and their standard of living and the things that they're able to do or even not able to do and what's important to them versus what might be important to us. Comparison is a thief, actually, of who you are. And so any type of vision development first requires that we kill that comparison monster that seeks to lure us into its lair, so to speak. But once we've done that, and once we recognize and really push that comparison tendency aside, then we're able to step into a reflective practice of our lives and be able to determine what is most valuable to us. It starts with an assessment, and I am an educator, so I believe almost everything begins with first assessing where you are. And in using a reflective practice, you can do it based upon a situation that you deal with. You can do it overall, looking over at your life as a whole. But the example I'll give you is in a situation so that you're able to at least see the process and be able to then apply it on a broader scale. So let's say you have a conversation that is uncomfortable with someone. It could be a colleague or maybe someone in a shop. And you have this conversation and you walk away from the conversation feeling a bit unsure of what just unfolded. One thing you want to do is assess, okay, what is it that I'm feeling right now? What is it that I'm thinking right now. Sometimes we don't take the time to ask ourselves questions about what we're thinking and feeling, and we sort of allow our minds to wander and go to places that aren't necessarily always healthy. Other times we ruminate on the conversation and think to ourselves, oh, I should have said this. Oh, I should have said that. Has that ever happened to you? It's happened to me countless times. However, in those moments, it's important to sort of capture ourselves, take a moment, ask ourselves those questions about our feelings, about our thoughts, and then determine whether or not we feel comfortable with those things. Did we show up in the way that we wanted to? Is that in any way, was that authentic? The things that we said, the ways that we were thinking about that person? So in those times of questioning and self-assessment, we consider other ways that we could be, right? Other perspectives. And in this distancing, this consideration of other perspectives, we place a bit of distance between ourselves and how we feel and what we've been thinking and the actual situation. And almost as if we take on the role of a third party who has come in to observe what has happened. What would that person say about it? And as we use this sort of distancing, it allows us to almost take on a different perspective. We might find that your emotions that may have been sort of a bit all over the place, they start to calm, and they also become clearer, and you're able to see a bit better. A lot of times when we're right in the midst of a situation, we don't know exactly any other way to see it but the way that we're thinking and feeling and seeing it at that moment. But that consideration step sort of takes you back and puts you in a position of observer and helps you to gain a different perspective. They always say when you broaden your perspective on anything, it's like a rubber band. When it broadens, it doesn't take on the same shape it had previously. So you're also able to then see the other person differently and see yourself differently. And then the next thing is to choose, you know what, how do I want to show up and respond the next time that I'm faced with a similar situation? Right? And then you begin to practice that and raise your awareness around it. So as I'm saying, you start with assessment, asking yourself some questions. You move on to sort of a consideration by distancing yourself, considering other perspectives. And then finally, you make some choices and make decisions around who you want to be, how you want to show up, and what that looks like. And you practice it. That's it. That's the sort of self-reflective practice that brings you to a place where you're able to drill down and get to what's most important to you. And once you have a clarity around what's most important to you and who you want to show up as, it makes vision casting so much easier. So if you found any value in what you've heard today, please make sure that you hit that like button and subscribe, because you want to stay right on top of this conversation around vision. I look forward to the next time that we can come together, and I'll share some tips, tools, and tactics for you to lead resiliently both at work and at home.